let's talk about the solstice and the energy themes for 2025. Very, very interesting themes. And I'll actually start with a theme from last year. So exactly today, 12 months ago, we were doing this event. I shared some energy themes in case you wanna, some of you might have been there last year, but if you want to check the energy themes for last year, they're all on my YouTube channel. All of the energy themes for all of the months. This will also be on my YouTube, the energy themes part. But basically, last year, I said it was a 2012 reprise, and there was going to be a mass collective spiritual awakening, which you might have witnessed or you might even have gone through it yourself during this year. And I also say that awakenings goes through cycles or goes in waves. So we are always going through different waves of awakening. But it was very significant because it today marks 12 months from the 21st of December 2012. That was the year that the Mayan calendar stated as the end date. And basically what it meant, and the Mayans are very much connected to the Pleiadians, it meant that the nine dimensions of consciousness would be more readily available for the collective. Okay. Because now it's 12 years, we're actually, and as you know, 12 is a very significant number as well, because we have 12 zodiac signs and ages as well. We are in the age of Aquarius, 12 dimensions, 12 strand DNA, 12 chakras, which we'll talk. Obviously, there are more, but we're focusing on the 12 because today marks the completion of those 12 years. And 2025 is a year nine, which is related to completion of cycles. And so the biggest theme that came through for the collective was the cosmic heart activation. Okay. Because now basically we have more access to the 12 dimensions of consciousness. And so I will try to do an overview, a quick overview, because there's a lot to share about this, but just bear in mind that throughout the year, all of these themes, you will see them again. We will go more in depth. That's what I felt, especially like last year, the themes just kept coming back, but at like different or deeper layers, if you will. So we'll talk about the cosmic heart activation and the 12th dimensional self. And something that the Pleiadians always say is that your heart is your multidimensional tool. That's a message that always comes through because it really is. Even when we're just looking at the seven chakras, you can see that the heart is really in the middle between the three lower chakras and the three upper chakras. But the heart continues to be the portal and the bridge and the key and the multidimensional tool to all of your other layers as a multidimensional being. So looking at the chakras, charts, chakras are portals within us. Um, Basically, the human collective has been functioning, if you will, with only two chakras, lower chakras, the root and the sacral, which is to do with survival, which is to do with being stuck in the 3D matrix, thinking that this is all there is, right? That's been happening for thousands and thousands of years. Some humans are still just functioning with these two. Not you because you're here, but it's not just the two lower chakras, and it's not that the lower chakras are bad, but it's just because it was just functioning um, in a distorted, wounded way too. They have been, but now as you start to awaken, they all start to align and get activated and get more balanced. So when you start questioning everything, the paradigm, the status quo, everything. You have that little fire in your solar plexus starting to get bigger, right? And that's more in the fourth dimensional territory. So that means you're awakening, you're questioning everything that you've been taught and told. Um, and when you move up and you start looking for your purpose, you have passion for your purpose. You start not just questioning, but seeking the answers. That's when you're exploring, we could say, your lower heart chakra. And that's again just for our linear minds. It's not as linear as it seems because we do oscillate between these dimensions, if you will. But when you're in this space, you're actually navigating through 4D, upper 4D, lower 5D. Okay. And when you start to really tap into your heart and activate your 5D heart, that's when you start loving yourself, accepting yourself, trusting that there's more to life than this material world. That's when you start tapping into oneness, unity consciousness, Christ consciousness. Okay. And that's when you really start to experience more of that 5D reality, and you activate and you align all the upper chakras. So that's one of the reasons why the Pleiadians keep focusing on the heart. It's not so much about focusing on the upper chakras, it's focusing on the heart. The more you activate your heart, the more you open your heart, the more aligned all of your chakras will be, the more multidimensional you will be as well. Last year, one of the biggest themes that came up was the higher heart and the higher mind coherence. And again, throughout the year, throughout the months, we were getting more information about what this actually means. That's very much related. The higher heart is very much related to sovereignty, to authenticity, because it's closer to the throat chakra as well, which is a very important part of the equation because sometimes we fall into the trap of unconditionally loving everyone and forgetting that we are sovereign beings as well and that we need to stand in our frequency, stay in our heart centers. And that also activates the higher mind, which is eighth dimensional territory. Okay, so that coherence between the higher heart and the higher mind is something that was a big theme last year. And when you sort of embody and embrace all of these dimensions, that's when you become that ninth dimensional self. And even your lower chakras become more aligned. You embody your humanness, you embrace the human experience as well as your heart and your spirit self. And I do have a program where I take people on a journey of the nine dimensions of consciousness, but actually announcing, I didn't plan to announce this, but this year we're actually extending. This year it will be 12 dimensions because that's the year that we are ready to activate our 12 dimensional selves. And that's related to these upper chakras, the universal, the galactic, the divine gateway. And that's very much related to the cosmic heart, which you could also say cosmic awareness. Because when you are tapping into your cosmic heart, it's not just the heart anymore, it's all of it. Okay. And you might be asking, what does this actually mean? The cosmic heart, activating your cosmic heart. So all of these things will start to make more sense. You'll start to embrace and embody your 12 chakras, the 12-strand cosmic DNA. So a lot of gifts and memories coming online back for you. There is a massive starseed awakening happening. It's already been happening for years, but from now on, you'll start to see maybe even your friends that you didn't even think would awaken. They will start talking about starseed and star races. And that's also another level of the spiritual awakening. So there's a lot of galactic remembrance as well, not just for you, but for Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is now embracing her galactic role in the universe. There's wider and deeper access to your Akashic records, psychic skills and gifts are enhanced. A lot of Christ consciousness energy, which we'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes. Sacred neutrality as well, which is a theme for this year. Sovereignty, which we've already touched on, and just overall expanded sense of consciousness and actually living a multidimensional life, not just a human life, a limited experience, but a multidimensional limitless experience. The next theme, which I touched on quickly, is the full embodiment and expression of Christ consciousness. And I know we're, you know, getting closer to Christmas next week if you celebrate it. So Christ is a theme, but it's not just because it's December. It's really because Christ consciousness is a state of consciousness that we're heading towards that we need to embody and express. That's 5D. That's unity consciousness. That's love. That's oneness, right? It's not Jesus. He was the embodiment of that. Yeshua, he was the embodiment, that expression, the full embodiment. So we have an example to follow, and we might not have been told the full story, but that's a topic for another workshop or video. But basically, we're at a point that we really have to transcend judgment and nurturing compassion. We have to transcend at first self-judgment, um, because really when you judge others, that's also a reflection of you. So nurturing self-compassion as well, that will help you to have more compassion towards others, because again, it's an extension of yourself. Okay. Um, and this theme as well of sacred neutrality, which is a theme that I'm excited to have more information throughout the year and talk a little bit more about it throughout the year, because it's really important. And a lot of people might think that being neutral means to not get involved or engaged or just be apathetic, and that's the very opposite. But it means that when you're in your heart, when you're the full embodiment and expression of Christ consciousness, you'll still accept the human layers of yourself, but you won't be dragged by your emotions. You won't be dragged by your ego mind. And you'll be able to tap into that space of neutrality more and more often. And this space of sacred neutrality is a space where there's only love. There's no need for forgiveness. There's no need for drama. And this is what we need to embody with ourselves first. I am the way means love is the way. So that is why I think this is such a big theme moving forward, because if we want to co-create a new 5D reality, we need to follow this, that love is the only way. Self-love, extending that out with your peers, with the fellow humans, with all the beings in the universe. And this is, again, basically what 5D ascension is. Unity consciousness, 5D, oneness. It is that state of consciousness that is called love. Love not as a feeling, not as I love you because, or there's no, it's not a feeling, it's a state of consciousness, basically. Yes, it's a feeling from a 3D perspective, but from that 5D point of view, it's really a state of consciousness. And so a prompt for even for the year is for you to really understand for yourself, more than me sharing what I feel that Christ consciousness is, but ask yourself, what does Christ consciousness mean to me? And in what ways can I embody and express this in my everyday life? And the everyday life is the key here, because we can be in the space of love and Christ consciousness when we're meditating, but go out, right? Go drive. That's when the challenge shows up. And so this is a really important prompt that you can reflect maybe later, or maybe even throughout the year at different days. Okay. And again, you'll have the PDF so you can go back to the prompts if you're watching the recording and you want to pause and just write a few things that's coming up for you. Okay. The next theme, which is a theme that I think if it wasn't last year on the solstice, it was definitely showed up in January or February last year, which is we're creating new ways of being and conscious ways, not just new ways, but conscious ways. And we're bringing more of the 5D in the physical because we can have, again, all the altered states of consciousness when we're breathing and meditating and in sound baths. And we can have the most cosmic galactic travels and experiences when we're meditating or sleeping. But we're starting now to build a new earth, to build that 5D that we envision in our third eye in the physical. Okay, so it's really, and we are the way showers. We're building the new paradigm. And so as we do this, the old paradigm is crumbling down, and you probably have witnessed a lot this year. It is happening. And there's more shadow coming to light because that's the way that we transcend the duality, that we transcend 3D, okay? Or the duality of the 3D. Because you are the cycle breakers, you're the paradigm shifters. And whether we're talking about cycle breakers in your family, in your country, or paradigm shifters leading and creating new businesses and new ways of doing and being, you are changing. You are a paradigm shifter. And this is a continuous co-creation of the new. And something that I received a message that was really interesting because for a while I kept saying, we don't have a template for the 5D. The template that we have is the old system, is the 3D template. We don't want the 3D template. We want the 5D template. So we're building the 5D template. But the message that I got as I was putting this together was there's no template, but there are soul memories, and you've done this before. You've done this before. I've done this before. You've done this before. We are light workers. We've been here before. Unless you're a very new soul, that this is your first time on Earth, which there are a lot of new souls coming into Earth and incarnating at this time. But for a lot of us, we've done this before. So there is kind of a template in our cosmic DNA. There is a memory, there is a remembrance. So we've done this before because this planet was a 5D planet before. So there isn't a template given to us, but we are building and finding new ways of co-creating this new reality. And so a prompt for the year is, what are the new conscious ways of being or doing things that I can implement in my life? It can be little things. It can be little things like eating more organic food, using less plastic, or homeschooling. I don't know, anything, whatever it is that resonates with you in your life in this moment. And if it helps, you can split into categories. So house, family, work, travel, and or our energy bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. What are some of the ways that you can implement new ways that you can implement in your life? Okay, and this is a really nice one. I really encourage you to reflect on this one. Take your time, come back to this prompt. And also it's, if you write a little list, you can always go back to it, and maybe check. That's more like your logical masculine energy, but that can really help. The next theme, which I've also touched on, is the Starseed Awakening. A lot of us are awakening to that starseed memories, okay? And for me, the Starseed Awakening is another wave, another layer of the awakening journey, because you start remembering your star origins, you start remembering your soul's essence, your soul's journeys, you start remember all the fragments of your souls and how each past lifetime, parallel lifetimes, how they are helping you in this lifetime, how you're helping them. There will be a lot of Starseed and Soul Tribe. I put reunions because you are reuniting, even if you don't necessarily, if you haven't met in this lifetime, you've met in other lifetimes. Your soul knows each other's souls, and so there will be happening a lot of that, and that's also an intention that you can set for yourself to really find your tribe, to really connect with people that are aligned with your values, with your frequency, that really resonate with your being. Okay. Um, and so because you make that commitment and that intention, you set that intention, there are shifts in relationship dynamics that's happening next year. And particularly, I said particularly for star seeds because it can be challenging. I'm a star seed. I'm sure a lot of you might resonate with this word, even if you don't necessarily know what it is, but you feel that you're different. And then it can be difficult to find your tribe. It can be difficult to really tell others what you really think or what you really feel because it's just they won't understand. They might judge you even. And so especially also in romantic relationships too. And for empath and spiritual people with starseed, sometimes we tend to dim our light in order to match the other's frequency. But now it's the opposite. You know, you need to stay in your center, stay in your frequency, not dim your light, shine your light. And all of those who are a match to your frequency, to your heart's frequency, they will come to you. So stay in your frequency and trust your inner guidance that everything is aligning with your frequency. So that's why it's super important for you to just continue to focus on yourself and in your heart, activating your heart, loving yourself, staying in your frequency, and attracting things, people, places that are a match to your frequency because together, when we're connected like we are here right now, together we raise the frequency of the planet. Our frequency individually and the frequency of the planet. So how powerful is this? So that's why I get really excited for meetings like this because I can really feel the shift in the energy when we come together from all different parts of the world. And it doesn't matter that it's online. It's great if it's in person. It really doesn't matter because time and space, linear time and space is just a perception of the 3D, right? Consciousness travels beyond time and space. And a prompt for the year is how can I step more into trust and my inner knowing? How can I be more and more aware of my frequency and what and who resonates with it? That's really, really important. So I really encourage you to reflect on this because sometimes we're not aware of our frequency or even of our power, our inner power, and then we dim our lights because we want to match the mass collective. And now it's we can't do this anymore. Beautiful. And lastly is the co-creation with the universe from the 0 point. The 0 point is the source point. When we're talking about the solstice, cosmic alignment, galactic alignment, Earth, Sun, center of the galaxy aligning, that's the 0 point. That's the source point. The black hole of the Milky Way is an example of the 0 point. That's when light meets darkness and things are created. You have been created like this. The galaxy have been created like this. Constant cycles of ends and beginnings. That's just the natural process of the evolution of us as humans, as souls, as the whole universe. And what happens when we reach that 0 point, that source point, it refreshes, it presses the button that says refresh your system, and it filters out all the useful data for what you want to co-create. That's why we can always come back to that 0 point within us to filter what is useful for my next cycle and what is not useful for my next cycle. So we have to do this, and we're actually doing this today, releasing, refreshing, no longer serves, and then start to co-create from that space. And we create with intention. So that takes me to setting intentions.